Hi everyone. So I'm doing this video as quick as I can because we all know when you have a newborn it's pretty difficult to get time alone. Sorry if you can hear my dishwasher in the background, but of course we're trying to, get things clean when we can, and I obviously don't look very hot either. So let me get right into it. On November 1st, last Thursday, I went into the hospital to get my misoprostol put in. When we did all that, I got checked. We got put on the fetal monitors and all that kind of stuff. And when she did my exam, I was 3 centimeters dilated and 85% of phase. So I was progressing. So she's like, okay, I'm going to stretch you, and we'll see how everything will go, like, in the next 20 minutes. So when she does this, I obviously am, like, in immense pain because it hurts. So I start shaking, and I'm all like, oh my God, I don't feel good now. Like, this really sucks. She's like, don't worry, it'll go away in a minute. So she put the monitors back on my tummy, and we ended up finding out that Weston's heart rate had dropped to about 60, 67, which is obviously not good. In those cases, I guess you have about 3 minutes, and if it continues to stay at that rate, they end up prepping you for an emergency C-section. Now, of course, there could be plenty of things. He could be sitting on his cord. He could have held onto his cord. So there's plenty of things that could happen in those cases. So, of course, she hit the red button for code red, and I have a whole bunch of people coming in. Come on. And it was a little bit scary. I was hooked up to an IV. People were, turning me from side to side. I was getting people coming in and just, like, telling me, like, okay, honey, if you have a C-section, this is what happens. And, don't be alarmed, like, these things happen, but, just kind of trying to ease my fear, but, like, I was freaking out. And, of course, my husband was, like, he's like, I didn't even know what to do. I was just, like, standing there like I was watching a movie or something. So, after my IV was put in, he had stabilized, and it went back up to 135. And, obviously it was great, but in this process, I was admitted because they said, these things can happen when you're at home and you don't even know about it. But when they happen at a hospital, you have to be admitted. And considering since you're already 41 weeks, let's just go ahead with that. So they did. I was obviously extremely relieved that he was okay, and we kind of went into labor from that point on. So I was admitted. I was hooked up to an IV. I had, everything on me, like the fetal monitors, the contraction monitors. I was, had to do my blood pressure a whole bunch of times. So this kind of like stopped the whole me being able to move very freely throughout my labor. Of course, I was able to move around with the IV because I was able to just wheel the thing around, but there was not a lot of things that I could do. So around 7:30, my real contractions started to happen. This is only about like a half an hour after everything had happened. And it was fine. I was able to handle it. I was able to use my hypnobirthing and, somewhat get through everything. Sorry, I keep touching my hair, but it looks terrible. So I was able to get through them pretty well, and I was happy with, my progression, I guess. But my contractions were, they were moving close together. They became 4 minutes apart and then 3 minutes apart. And then around 9:15, they started to become around 2 minutes apart. So, I started to feel them more intensely now. And certain positions were helping. And the contractions started to become more intense around 12 a.m. And they were so intense that I was just feeling them solely in my back. Now, if you guys already know, I was already under the impression that he was going to be posterior because of just the things that I had been feeling and the fact that I had gotten checked and they had noticed that he was posterior. So, I thought, it's not going to be as bad as everybody says it is. Like, there's no way. Like, if I was, I know some girls that were able to get through it without an epidural. I can definitely do this. So, that was at 12 a.m. And within that hour, they progressively got more stronger. I went from being 1 minute apart to 30 seconds apart, back to 1 minute apart, back to 30 seconds apart. Sometimes I actually wouldn't get a break. So I thought I was making like crazy, headway. Like, I thought I must be like 8 centimeters. Like, if I'm feeling this, or 7, at least like I must be feeling something, because things must be happening. So I requested to be checked, and midwife came in and checked me, and I was only 5 centimeters. So I only had dilated 2 centimeters, which isn't bad, but because the pain was so bad, I couldn't fathom that I had to go another 5 centimeters and then push with no epidural. So, and I know I did not, I was actually kind of against getting an epidural, completely against it. So, of course, I start asking for other pain medications and, other alternatives, and I'm being told that we can give you a narcotic, but it most likely will harm your baby in terms of, its breathing when he comes out, and there's going to be a lot of tests done, and I thought, well, I don't want to do that. So I tried to get through the contractions, and after about 10 or 15 times of screaming that I needed it, and now I'm talking I have never felt pain in my life. I don't think anything could ever come even remotely close to what I was feeling. I kept saying, there's a bowling ball coming out of my back. My sacrum was just it felt like it was going to explode out of my back. And then my hips were hurting, and then my uterus I started getting contractions in my uterus, so I was getting just blown apart with contractions, and I couldn't handle it anymore. I was really upset with myself for the first, couple of times that I was requesting one, but my husband kept saying, no, you can do this, you're strong, don't worry about it. But by 1 o'clock, I was done. I was in so much pain. I ended up smacking my husband in the chest and pulling him close to me and being like, I'm not kidding. And I was bawling my eyes out, and I said, you don't understand. This isn't just ooh, my back hurts. I feel like I'm getting ripped apart, and I can't take it anymore, and I think I'm going to die. And I remember seeing that on a baby story where a woman said, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. And I laughed, thinking, it's that painful. You make the pain, and that's it. So, finally, my husband was like, okay, let's call the anesthesiologist. Well, I wasn't given an epidural till about 2 o'clock, so almost a little after 2, actually. Almost a whole hour, I didn't get an epidural, so I had to endure these contractions, and I kept getting worse and worse, and I was crying so much, and it was just, I honestly have so much more respect for women that are able to do it naturally. And in this situation where you have back labor, it is beyond pain that you'll ever experience. I thought that, if it was only one thing, if it was only in the front, I could totally handle it. I actually was thinking, this is nothing. This would be nothing if I just had it in the front, because the pain that I had in the front really did hurt, but I knew that I could get through that. I just couldn't get through the back labor. So I was given the epidural. I felt amazing, and along with that, they gave me Pitocin to speed up my labor. Because of the fact that his heart rate had went down, they really wanted to make sure that my labor was going to progress in a positive way. So we did that, and then around 4:40, my water broke. I said to the nurse, I feel like there's cool air breathing underneath, in my vagina area. What is that? She's like, oh, maybe you're just leaking some fluid or whatever, or maybe you've just been bleeding a little bit. And I was like, no, I full on feel weird. So she checked me, and of course, the bed was soaked. So water broke at 4:40. 6:20, I was about 7 centimeters dilated, and Weston had decided that he wanted to turn now. So now he was in face down, or face to the my left leg, So he wasn't completely there, but he was there. And I had a feeling that this was happening because I kept feeling like shifting almost. And sometimes he would kick while I was having a contraction. So at 8 a.m. I was almost 8 centimeters. My cervix was partially uneven. I had one side that was really nice, and then another side that was, I guess, extremely swollen because he was pushing on that side more. So I had to be told to go on my left for an hour and then a right on my for an hour to kind of just like maneuver things a little bit more. So around 10:30, I was fully dilated. I definitely felt the urge to push. I kept saying that I feel like I kind of want to like poo a little bit, but I'm not really sure. And the nurse said, "That's good. Let's get you checked, and then we'll practice some pushing for you because you have an epidural." So now from 4 o'clock till 10:30, I was starting to feel little twinges and stuff in my right hip, and I didn't really know what it was from, but I thought, like maybe because I was laying on it on that side for a long time, and you're such dead weight when you get an epidural, maybe that's what it's from. Well, by the time 11 o'clock I came, this pressure in my hip hurt so much that I couldn't even, it was just the same amount of pain that I had in the beginning. I refused to push. So for half an hour I was good. I was going, my pushing was looking beautiful. Considering since I had a little bit of mobility, I was able to kind of feel the pushing. I knew when a contraction was coming, and that really made me feel good to know that I could feel what was going on and I wasn't completely numb. So I started to complain about it, and they were kind of like, you're fine, like don't worry, you're going to get through this. And within like a couple minutes, it was just like my contractions were perfect. They were exactly 2 minutes apart. They were ranging really well in terms of how long they were and how strong they were getting. But the hip pain, I actually felt like someone was ripping my hip apart. Like it was just like, it was almost like the epidural wasn't working on that spot anymore. So they called the anesthesiologist to come in. This nice Russian lady comes in and she says, "Don't worry, honey, I'm going to take care of you." And she hooked me up to some more medication, and I felt great. The only difference was that now that I was given this like second dose kind of the epidural, I wasn't going to be able to feel anything, like nothing. Like I wouldn't feel my contractions happening. My legs would be completely numb, and they were like picking them up was like picking up 1,000 pounds. So I started pushing, and that was at 12 o'clock. I started up to push again, and it was fine. It was a little bit weird because, of course, I'm pushing, but I can't feel a thing. I can't even feel pressure at this point. So once I was given that medication, the anesthesiologist said, "This only lasts 2 hours, so you have to get this baby out within 2 hours." So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. He's going to come out. Like, I'm going to push him out. But when you can't feel a thing, you're being told to push, but you're kind of just like, I don't know if I'm pushing. And of course, your whole life you've been pushing poop out. You've been pushing your pee out. So you know exactly what it's supposed to, the sensation's supposed to be, but it is just hard to kind of get your brain around it. So I pushed and pushed and pushed, and finally, probably right as he was about to crown, I started to feel a lot of pressure, and I was just like begging them to get him out. I was so exhausted, considering since from 6:30 to 1 or 2:30 in the morning I wasn't given any pain meds, and then from that time till 10:30 I was good, and then I went through some more pain, and then I was good, and then I had to push again, and I could feel things. I was really, really tired. So I had to have an OB deliver him because of his heart rate going down, and it had went down a few times while I was in labor. I had to sometimes switch from left to right to try to get him to kind of move because maybe he was pushing on his umbilical cord. And I had to get an episiotomy. again, these are nothing that I wanted to have. I wanted to tear naturally, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, but there was no way I was tearing. The doctor said, you're not big enough down there. You need to, and he has a big head, I need to do this. So of course I didn't care if she was going to do it or not. I was just kind of bummed that I had to have one. So I was like, please don't make it big, please don't make it big, because I know the bigger it is, the harder it is to heal, and it's just not cool. But I ended up getting one, and she had to cut me twice. She was more concerned about his shoulders than his head, but said that he had a big head and that, you know, you would probably tear anyways. So once she cut me, I pushed about 2 or 3 times, I think, and his head came out, and then his body came out, and he was out. Like, it was just instantly. There was no worrying about the shoulders. Like, he just flew right out of there. I did have meconium in my water, which is so funny because I thought, like, oh, that's not gonna happen to me. Like, I'm not gonna have to worry about that. But he was fine. His breathing was beautiful. His color was great. He cried probably like even before he was coming out of there. Like, he was screaming. They put him directly on my chest, and I can't even. I mean, you women out there that already have children that have went through this experience can totally know what it's like when they come out and how you feel. You can, and the women out there that are pregnant or going to become pregnant, you have this vision of how it's going to be when they come out, but there's nothing that will ever compare to when they put your baby on your chest. I was so filled with emotion, I couldn't even, like, I wish my friend got it on video because it would have been really interesting to watch it now, but just when I replay it in my mind, I went through so much pain. I was really in labor for 20 hours, and it was really stressful. I mean, it definitely could have been worse. But his face was so swollen, like because he was in there for so long, getting smushed by my freaking vagina, and but he's so beautiful. He's nothing like what I thought he was going to look like. I thought he was going to look just like my husband. I thought he was going to have light hair, and of course he does not have light hair. And my whole family says he looks like me. I have a couple pictures of me when I was a baby, and we definitely do look more alike than him and his daddy, but he definitely has a lot of traits that he has. But I can't believe I'm a mom. It's probably the best feeling that you'll ever feel in your life. And for all you girls that are going to be having your baby soon, I'm so happy for you because you're going to be able to experience this, and nothing in the world can even come close to compare to what it feels like when you hold your baby for the first time. And of course the emotions have tripled since I got home. Of course I was emotional when he came out, but afterwards, being so lethargic and tired, I was really not that emotional once I was in my postpartum room. I was just happy, but as soon as I got home, everything kind of just flooded in. Of course, I'll do, a 1-week update, the postpartum and all that stuff, but it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster. The majority of 99% of it is I'm crying because I'm so in love with him, and I cannot even believe that he's mine. So, without further ado, here's my little boy. Of course, if you know me on Facebook, you've already seen a million photos that I have been posting. But here he is in the flesh. He is sleeping with his mouth open. Baby. Here, let me fix them. And here he is, little Weston Edward. He looks so chubby on the picture. But he was born at 2:31 p.m. on November 2nd, weighing in at 9 pounds and 8 ounces and 21 1/4 inches long. And he is just perfect. just like all of your babies are perfect. Nothing in this world could be any more perfect than your own baby. And he's such a good baby. I couldn't ask for a better little guy. So that is it. I'm sorry that it is long, but we all know these things usually tend to be long. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to do another video for postpartum, probably this weekend, or maybe Friday. But we did go to his first appointment, and everything went well. And he's breastfeeding really well. I'm really happy with it. I haven't really had too much problems, maybe just a little bit of a sore boob. But he's doing very well. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, like I said, birth plan, out the window, didn't even happen. And from now on, I'm not even going to make a birth plan. I'm really not. I wanted to make it because I felt like it was really important, and I do think they are really important, but seeing what had happened with mine, the only thing that I wanted was him, and that's all that matters. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.